I was so aware of how this could run away from me.
Yeah.
Like I was really just so aware of all the people that are more experienced than me in their roles. They're not directors, right? But just in their roles that they do. And it's like, oh, if I was any less confident, I can see how this can just
Yeah.
really just run away from debut directors. And I was so aware of that I think that kind of helped it not to happen as well.
Hi everyone. I'm delighted to say that I recently got the chance to record an interview with Thea Gajić. She is the writer-director of a new British film called Surviving Earth that has been produced by the BFI and Film, and it will be releasing in UK cinemas on the 24th of April. Surviving Earth tells the story of Vlad, who is a man with many faces. After fleeing the conflict in Yugoslavia, Vlad lives in Bristol, where he is trying to live his dreams whilst holding his life together. It's a story about fatherhood, Balkan music, and addiction. It's a poignant film, and it's based on a true story. I was so excited to chat to Thea. She is someone that I've looked up to for many years, and I find her gradual journey from short films to features to be particularly inspiring. This is one of those conversations which I really hope people are going to come back to, because there's so much useful information here about the reality of being a filmmaker. Thea talks through her process in writing, filmmaking, and she also explains how she discerns truth from fiction in storytelling. Before we jump into this video, a couple of things to note. Please remember to subscribe and leave a like on the video as it really helps the channel out, and there are also time codes in the description to help guide you throughout. Otherwise, I hope you enjoy the conversation. Hi.
Hi.
So tell me, like, for people who don't know, how would you describe your film, and like what would you say is the inspiration behind it?
Um, my film is Surviving Earth is at its heart uh, a character study about a man who is really trying to come to terms, I feel, with his own existence and the decisions he's made and hasn't made in his life and where that's got him and how to navigate the relationships that may have been damaged by those decisions. Um, it's about addiction, love, music, displacement. Um, and yeah, I think it really examines the fallout and fall in of those things. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and it is inspired by true events. It's about my father, um, Vlad, Vladimir Gajić. Um, yeah, that's what it's that's who it's inspired by. That's what it's about.
Yeah. So
And
I
this
kind of, sorry, I just kind of wanted to ask like the big questions like first, really, if that's okay.
absolutely
bec-
whatever you want.
because like, so like I'm very familiar with your film work, and I think what you're like very exceptional at is sort of revealing the truth, or like the truth we take for granted. It seems to be like you're perhaps like one of the best filmmakers I know for like the well observed small moment. Um, and so I kind of, this is a very sort of raw first feature. And like, if I was talking to other people about their first features, I feel like I would have less trepidation talking about it. And so my question for you is like, when you were starting to come up with this idea for this project, how did you like navigate defining the boundary between truth and fiction? That's a very big question. I apologize, but like,
Oh, it's a great question because it was such a challenge. It was probably the single biggest challenge at draft stage that I had, and I guess that I continue to have, but it eased off as the process went on, but very much at the beginning, like first draft, second draft, third draft, it was really difficult to navigate. And just in terms of like really understanding, I'd never written a feature before. Am I lying about that? I had written not a full feature. I had like so quick side pass. The year before I applied for iFeatures with Surviving Earth, I applied with it for a different feature and I didn't get past the second round with that one. But it wasn't a complete script, but I've probably done about 60 pages of that. Anyway, in terms of actually having a film that's gonna be made and like going along that journey, yeah, I'd never written one to that degree before, and um yeah, it was challenging to hear and then to understand for myself why real life events don't translate
Mm,
entirely to the story, because then I guess it's that whole life imitates art imitates life thing. And like, what do you mean? Like, this is story. We're writing a story about true events, and how can it not work
yeah.
for film? Um, and that was difficult at first to understand and I guess feel protective over, because it was a personal story. Um, and the boundary that I found was really like allowing the film to be a story in its own right,
Yeah.
um, which is inspired by real life. And like so much of it literally is like there's some direct scenes that happen to me and him, and I've reflected that in the script, and there's others that are obviously dramatized. But I think, yeah, it was allowing the characters and the story to breathe by their own without me on the page, you know? And I think
Yeah.
that finding that boundary took multiple drafts to get to. Uh,
Yeah.
and I think later on down the line, like the truisms that I were really protective about, and I never let them go. And it really helped me put my foot down in later development about things that I wasn't willing to change. Um, yeah, so it's like it works both ways, and you do have to kind of find the middle ground with your
Yeah.
execs and with your editors about yeah, where that middle ground is and what is most important.
Yeah, I'm kind of struck as well by the fact that like this is your debut feature and like people have an idea of what you do from the short films, but you're
Mm,
still sort of establishing what makes you unique. So
mm,
it like it's a very like I can't like imagine the process you've been on to kind of like tell a story that's so personal, and then have to go through the machine of development where there are a lot of people who are hired to tell you what to do with your script or to tell you how to change your story,
yeah,
because that's their job. Like,
yeah,
and you've got to discern what is actually a good impulse versus like,
yeah.
which is, yeah. And at the same time, separate to that is your own creativity that is like being defined at the same time.
Mm.
I'm not really asking a question, but I'm just kind of like saying stuff. But I guess like,
No, but
did
yeah,
you,
it's sorry,
no, again,
I have to ask the question. Um,
yeah,
it is all of those things, and I think, yeah, that there is that internal dialogue as well about your own creativity that is being defined. And like I was so aware, like the more confident I felt with the script later down into development, like maybe more in prep and stuff, I was so aware how this could run away from me.
yeah,
Like I was really just so aware of all the people that are more experienced than me in their roles. They're not directors, right? But just in their roles that they do. And it's like, oh, if I was any less confident, I can see how this can just
yeah,
really just run away from debut directors. And I was so aware of that I think that kind of helped it not to happen as well. Like
yeah,
kind of like I then doubled down on like stubbornness and like impulse.
yeah,
And I was like, no, there's no way that this is, I'm
yeah,
letting some things go. And I think you do have to have that level of awareness because, and it's not anyone's fault. Like, do you know what I mean? They mean well and whatever. Everyone has their own opinions and stuff. Um, but it is the director's job to steer the ship at the end of the day. And you just have to remember your reasons which can be
Yeah.
really difficult because like your reasons may have started 6 years prior to that point, right? And
Yeah.
so it can be really, it's really important to surround yourself with your collaborators who you know well and who can also speak back to you, your reasons.
Yeah, I worked for a director once who described directing as the art of being unreasonable because everybody's trying to kind of guess what it is and you know
Mhm.
what it is. And so you
Mm.
have to adjust their guess, if that makes sense,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
constantly.
exactly, exactly. That's a really good
Um,
of it.
and I think also like this is a question I had for later, but I'll ask it now. Like how did you like in terms of like building confidence and like like saying, disagreeing, like if you take me to the set, like take me to the shoot of it, like I assume there were days where actually you wanted to change your mind or you had to disagree. Like how did you find your confidence on
Do
set?
you know what? My confidence wavered the most in prep. Like on set,
Yeah.
set was actually quite smooth sailing, for the most part, which I think is a result of good prep. No matter how stressful prep is, I think the directing is done in the prep. Um, and that also takes a while to get your head around, like through shorts and stuff, you slowly begin to realize, oh, like there's stuff for me to do on the shoot, obviously, but all of my thinking has been done. 90% of it has been done before and communicated before, right? But yeah, there was days on set like that I've never experienced before. Like I've never worked with a large group of extras.
Mm.
I've never worked with live music. I've never, you know, had 100 plus people on a crew. Like I've never there was so all of that stuff can be over is no is overwhelming. Um, Especially like there were days that I would go into unit base and I would look around and I'm like, oh my gosh, all of these people are here because of me and because of this film. Like not in an ego way, just like in a, oh my God, oh my gosh, like it is a responsibility, to deliver something meaningful. And
Yeah.
there was a day on set where I just didn't love the location even when we knew we had to use it. It was just one of those locations that we were making it work for different things, and it worked really well for some bits, and for other bits, it didn't work so well. But we didn't really have much of a choice because, scheduling, budget, whatever. So I already had a thing in my head about this location.
Hmm.
Um, and to this day, when I watch the film, there's one scene I'm like, oh, I don't like watching it because of the location. And we were shooting in that location and there were so many extras and I was just like I just lost my confidence and I went away and had a cry. When I came back, the
Yeah.
actors had like written a note for me and stuck it on my monitor,
Oh, yeah.
which was really which made me cry again, obviously. But it
Yeah.
was really sweet and it's just some days are really hard. Like
Yeah. No, I've
um,
cried on film sets. Like it's
yeah,
just a
we had a
yeah.
cry. I made sure everyone knew it was a cry friendly set because
Yeah.
because it's so personal, it very quickly touched a lot of people, a lot of crew that we didn't know before because we were shooting in Bristol and obviously we're London based and there was loads of people we met for the first time. And yeah, lots of people over the course of the weeks would come up to me and just say, oh, their parent or their brother or their friend or someone has been affected by the themes in this and, it touched them in a certain way. And I just made sure everyone was like, if I cry and can still work through it, then it's like everyone else is allowed to. Do you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
just it makes for just when you are able to be vulnerable, then more magic can happen. I feel like, and everyone they don't have to panic about seeing people cry. I think there's an instinct to be like, oh, the director's crying, like panic, and it's like, no, it's fine, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like I'm just working through this feeling, and we can continue. But that
Yeah.
also does take strength and but yeah, I think a lot of my confidence was stretched in prep. Prep is like very stressful.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like it's really interesting to hear you say that, say what you just said, because like obviously the film is so sensitive to mental health and to masculinity and just, you know, the characters, like the whole drama is driven by the way characters feel about each other. And it's like as I said, going back to that, I think you're like the most realism filmmaker I can think of these days now. Like I've just like, as soon as like so I've seen the film,
Yeah.
and like it really started to hit home for me when he's like having phone calls from the local council. I was like, oh no, I'm relating too hard. I'm relating too hard. And it's like it's
Yeah.
it's it's the drama is, as I said, in the details of it.
But even
Uh,
like me, like there's the HMRC just sent me a brown envelope, and I'm like, I'm just not gonna open it because,
yeah. Yeah.
and it's been sitting in my bedroom for like 5 days, and I'm like, I already
Yeah.
know you're gonna tell me I owe you money, and cool, like what now? Like cool, I'm either gonna
Yeah.
pay or I'm not. Do you know what I mean? I'm just not gonna open it because then it's
Yeah.
like, and I think that that pressure so many, people have in all ways, shapes, and forms. It's like, the weight of that letter or the weight of those council calls, and it just kind of lives alongside you.
Yeah, I think part of my brain would say in court, like, "Oh, I never got the letter. I never, I
Yeah.
never, I never, never." Yeah, I mean, I found it really interesting because, like, I related like way more to Vlad than I thought I was going to, like, going into it. Which is perhaps not surprising given like the way I've responded. Like, so two of your short films have made me cry, just being like completely upfront. And it's probably not the two you would think, but it's like, and it's like, so like, you made a short film called Your Mother's Absence, which
Oh
made
yeah.
me, which kind of blew my mind because I was like, hang on, that's me. Like I've lived that. And then I had to examine why I've lived that. And it's like the moments you just take for granted that you just forget that you just, and I was like, oh no. And like the other thing to sort of say is so to just be like real with you, like it's kind of weird that, as I said, like I briefly met you in 2017 and I know your dad passed away in 2015.
Mhm.
Is that right? And around the same time, like 2016, like my dad went into a coma. And like 20, he's fine, by the way. He made a full recovery. But at the time, it was like a very sort of, we were grieving, but not, it was like a very strange time. And also, like just before that, I was like having a not fab time with my mental health. And
Mhm.
like watching Surviving Earth, I was seeing myself, which is so weird because his story is so specific to, your dad's. But
Mhm.
uh, like, just the stuff he was doing towards the end of the film, I was like, I've done that.
Yeah.
Like,
But
and
I
like,
think I'm so happy you say that, and I'm glad your dad has made a full recovery.
thank you. Thank you.
Um, um, because it's like it is the little things, like it's the things that build up. And like when in Q&As, like in South by Southwest and other Q&As, and people have asked some really good questions and some really annoying questions, it's like the annoying ones being like, oh, nothing was so bad. Like he don't understand like what's so bad. Anyway, but the thing is like, and I remember replying to that person that said that, and I was like, yeah, but it's not. It's about the daily. First of all, there are things that are bad. He's fled a war, first of all, but we're not even going. Let's not
Yeah.
go there. But the point is like, it's the daily, the build up of the weight of things that are placed on top of us, on top of our already burdened shoulders. It's like
Yeah.
there's like the letter, like the parking fines, like whatever it is. And I think I had to, when he did die in real life, I was like, there was a whole investigation about whether or not it was intentional. And, like obviously no one actually knows for sure, but it's like, you look at his character and you're like, you do this thing to get through this next moment, right?
Mm.
Because it feels heavy in that moment. And, you don't know that you're not going to wake up on the other end of it. you
Yeah.
And I think I was so adamant of getting that point across, like the whole it could happen to you thing. I'm not talking about addiction, about heroin addiction. It could happen to you. I mean, it could, but it's like, the it could happen to you being anything. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's not so far removed,
Yeah.
from any
I
of us
think
as we like to believe that it is.
I think for Vlad, it's just the vice he has is his
Yeah, exactly.
addiction,
Yeah.
but it could be anything in a
Yeah.
way. Like
Mm.
when you watch the film, it's like there are quiet moments that are just observing your brilliant actor, doing his thing, and you can
Mm.
see like the thought grow in his head, if that makes sense. It's like it's kind of crazily compelling by just imagery alone. And I suppose to me it was like you're seeing a man kind of get swallowed by his problems,
Yeah.
and then the vice kind of grows within him, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, yeah, I kind of wanted to ask about Slavko.
Yeah.
It's like he's like, so I kind of see you as like an actor's director. I mean, you are an actress, and like
Yeah.
a very good one as that. I mean, like I was just thinking like earlier today, like in prep for this, like I've seen your films and I've seen them, years ago. It never really occurred to me you're in them because it's so like I think of them as like you're the director, but I don't think of you as the actress in. You are in them, like
I am in
which
them.
is
Yeah, I am.
yeah.
I am.
It's very like
Yeah.
seamless. Um, and what he has to do, and it's like he is the glue of the whole movie. He's like
Yeah, yeah.
the whole movie is a person of like this film, um, and he's got to present vulnerability in different ways. And there's he's a conversation with his daughter where he's putting on a jokey face, but he feels like it feels like he's like sellotaped together. He's like he's so fragile. Um,
In the cafe.
like
That one.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like the last half an hour of this film is just like so good. Like,
Oh,
so
thank you. It actually, like, every time I watch it, when we get to that last half an hour, my heart rate like
yeah,
increases every time, and I'm always like, okay. And we really worked hard in the edit on that last half an hour, and I'm glad it has paid off. But that scene
yeah,
in question, that cafe scene, my mum and son were on set that day, um, and I never ever thought that scene would make me cry. But it made me cry on set. I was like, wow, this is, I think it was just like, neither of them know like what's going to happen.
yeah,
And then you just kind of want this opportunity to be like, don't, like, you're not going to see each other
yeah,
again after this point. And,
yeah,
they
yeah,
don't know that. And Slavko was so committed to this role, and like I gave him so much information about my dad, and he spoke to my mom, and he spoke to my dad's friends, and he read diary entries, and he like there was so much serendipity in this film. And in that scene is one of those moments, I don't know if you remember, but at the beginning of the scene he's talking about the dog is called Kush,
yeah.
and in Serbian it means shush, but so that whole bit was improvised, right? So we're just rolling the camera and he starts saying this stuff. And I'm like, I wasn't sure if it was too long-winded in the moment, but obviously I'm letting him do it. I'm letting him do it. And then cool, he goes into the scripted scene. And then my mum turns to me and she's like, did you write that bit? And I was like, no. She's
I
like,
was gonna
that's
say,
she was like,
yeah,
that's something that real Vlad would say, like to the T. And it was. That's why when he started saying it, I was like, this is so strange. And there was so many moments like that that kind of just fell from the sky where it was like,
yeah.
wow, this is so on point for what we're trying to do.
So you're
But
like,
yeah,
you're
it was
giving
a
him
lot.
like the authorship
Mm,
to take the role and make it real, and then you're kind of like learning from him and
yeah,
you're
yeah,
seeing,
yeah.
yeah, it's kind of weird.
Absolutely. It was great. It was great working with him and all the cast. I think I kind of let them, we didn't have any rehearsals.
Wow, really?
Um, yeah.
It's crazy.
We
What?
had, me, Slavko,
Yeah,
and Ollie had to do a screen test earlier that
yeah,
year, but this was before we had finance. So it wasn't like, well, I guess we used it as a rehearsal, but it wasn't official rehearsal. It was
sure.
like in order to help get finance for the film. So it was a bit different, but we didn't have any official rehearsals for the feature because we didn't have time. And the cast had to learn their instruments. So they were like, doing that. So that was their
Hmm.
rehearsal. But from director to actors, had no like set time with them. I could have,
Right.
obviously, if I pushed for it. But I'm also like not a massive rehearsal director.
Interesting.
Um,
Interesting. Okay.
I would rather everyone every time before we did a scene, like I would sit them all in the room and we would speak at length about the scene that we were about to shoot. And obviously I would prep them where they're going, where they're coming from, emotional states, blah, blah, blah. And I would just also talk to them about why I wrote that scene in particular from a personal level, like, and if there was a real life reference, then I would give them that reference.
Mhm.
Um, but most of the time for them was spent, yeah, with music. And so Duncan, the character in the film, his real life counterpart was a part of the film
Right.
making process, and he took them to NA meetings, and he
Right.
was my dad's best friend in real life. And yeah, it was such a blessing to have him because yeah, he took them to NA meetings, he took them out, they like spent loads of time with him. He helped with the Scottish accent.
Yeah.
He like
Yeah.
yeah, he told them stories that I wasn't privy to. I just kind of let them go and do
Yeah.
their thing. And I think yeah, I think it's the moments of connection between real people, you know, real actors, and then they bring that to the screen, I think is more important to me than like doing tables and tables and table reads and all of
Yeah.
that stuff. And I think there is obviously benefit to that if you have the time and budget to do so. Um, but yeah.
Can I ask, like, you know, for again, like talking about the last half an hour where like Slavko has to go to like a really emotional place as a director on that set, like how do you approach that?
Um, so it's interesting because the scene where him and Duncan aren't talking in the kitchen,
Yeah. Yeah.
you remember, and like, and then he goes to the car and then Duncan follows him out. But
That
that scene was like the one where they're not talking in the kitchen was our first day of first or
Oh
second.
really? That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What? Okay, so the
Yeah,
scene in the car is my
yeah.
favorite scene in the film.
Oh, I know that scene was just
Like
so good. And I
that's the
think
thing that stays with me.
a lot later. Um,
Yeah.
but the first scene, so I gave Slavko, so when he's like buttering bread or something, and
Yeah.
I made him push really hard against the counter, like with all of his strength, and then let go, and then naturally it creates tension in your body. And especially on the first or second day, you know what I mean? He hasn't lived in this character for a long time yet. Obviously he has in his own preparation, but you know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
that kind of really quickly helped him get there emotionally in that scene. Um, and then, yeah, the car scene, we just kind of let them, it wasn't choreographed, like I just let them see what happened. And I think it naturally
Right.
happened when I mean, it was directed that he kind of shoves him off. But obviously, until they do it, you don't know to what degree they're going to
Yeah.
do it. And it was never meant to be that big, but it like works. It works so well. And then you watch them do it and you're like, oh my God.
So this is sort of like the point I was trying to kind of come across because to me, like the inherent nature of filmmaking is like rewriting in like little bits each time.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah.
like as I said, this is like a real thing that this is a real person. This is a real story. And you are the world expert on that story. But you're like discovering ways to tell it, if that makes sense. But it's there's fundamentals, but you're like zooming in. Is that a fair way of describing it?
Yeah, definitely. There were moments where like we felt that there's a scene that's cut, well, yeah, shortened. You know, the scene in the alleyway
Oh yeah.
where they're like, what's going on? And he's like, I'm not good, I'm not good.
Another emotional scene. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
but that scene is cut in half. So what's meant to happen is what's scripted was that the other two band members follow them out too. So they're
Yeah.
all of them are in the alley.
Yeah.
And him and Zlatan have this exchange first before his friends get involved. And um he kind of like Vlad touches Zlatan on his face like this. And then every take he got it was getting harder and harder. And then it's like in those moments, and Slavko realized it too. Like at one point he did it too hard and he was like, I'm so sorry, like that's not right. So it's like in those moments where you see what does work and what doesn't. Like sometimes
Mm.
sometimes he'll do something and I'm like, yeah, that is right. Like you can go there. Other times it's like, no, that doesn't feel like something he would do, you know? So I think there's always the film's always being rewritten, especially because like his performance then determines how he performs in the following scene, which might be shot a week later, right? So it's like he's acted this way in this scene, or I've directed him one way in this scene. And then a week later, we're doing the scene after that. And now it no longer makes sense because of his performance in the previous one, you know? And so
Yeah.
I think, and all of that is the magic of film. You have to remember, oh, actually, no, this ended up happening in that scene. So now I have to change my intention for this one, perhaps, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen often. It's just every now and then you have to kind of rethink what matters now. Like maybe we've already got that beat now. So does it make the following scene redundant, for example, you know? So it's
Yeah.
like you're kind of always, and then that happens again in the edit. And
Yeah.
you're like, oh, now we've got two of the same beats. Like let's choose which one we prefer, like emotional beats. Um, and then something gets cut because of that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how long was your shoot? Like, how many
5 weeks.
days? 5 weeks. Okay.
How many days? I think maybe 25, 25.
25 days. Okay. It's pretty
Wait, let me
fast. That's pretty, yeah.
let
Okay.
me see. I'll
You're
give you
looking
a
up the
real time.
schedule. Yeah.
I'm looking up the full sheet.
Okay.
Yeah, 25.
25 days.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And so, and like how many years in development? Like 6, 7 years?
Um, wait, where have you gone? Oh, you're here. Yes, 2019. Official development started in 2019, but I had already written it the year
Yeah.
before.
I was going to say, so like part of what I'm like trying to do here is like demystify the process a little bit, mostly not just for my own education, but also for people who want to watch this.
Of course.
So like did you like, so you've done, so let's go from Eli. So you've done, is that the last short film or was,
At that time, yeah.
yeah. So Eli is definitely like clearly the closest one to what Surviving Earth is. So like, did you just write the feature at that point?
So Eli was taken from that previous feature I earlier mentioned.
Oh, right. Okay.
Grapefruit, yeah. And I got this film London funding, and I kind of just took a scene from Grapefruit, and I wasn't happy with that development process. Eli is not the film I wanted to make. It's not the film I
Oh,
went.
really?
Yeah, it's not the film I went in there with.
I like that film.
I don't dislike it. It's just like
Yeah.
it's not what it's not where it started. It's not what I wanted to make. It was like it was my first ever time ever receiving notes and getting
Yeah.
developed. And I think, yeah, in hindsight, I needed more people on my side and I needed to have more confidence to like be like, no, this is why. Anyway, whatever. That was Eli. And then so then I applied for iFeatures that year with the Grapefruit script. And I got to like the second round, but then didn't get further than that. And then the following year, I kind of started to explore Surviving Earth. We didn't have a title at that point. It was more just about like this telling people about my dad, really, and
Yeah.
realizing that the more I spoke about him, the more interest there was in like a relatable scale.
Hmm.
And then I met my producer, Alexandra Bilic, who's Bosnian, and it really resonated with her. And it kind of, then the seed grew from there. She actually came to the Eli screening, that's where we met. And she recognized me as having a Balkan surname. So then we were like, oh. And then, yeah, the seed kind of grew from there. And then me and Alex really went on the journey with it. We got early development fund from
I was going to
BFI.
say, I knew about that, the early development fund. So that
Yeah.
is like for that, you need just a log line and is
Yeah,
that
I
right?
think,
Yeah.
but I think I'd already started like writing it to some degree, like bullet points or pages, like really early pages. So you can send whatever you have, really,
Yeah.
and it kind of just gives you extra money to like pay you and the producer a small fee. Like it's not a lot. It wasn't then anyway. Um, to like write a proper treatment, basically.
Yeah.
To develop it just a little bit further. So then you have yeah, just something more. And then with that, we applied for iFeatures and then we got it. And so then it entered like real development.
Yeah.
Features is a year-long program, was a year-long program.
I was going to
Uh,
say, does it still exist,
oh,
iFeatures?
we were on the last one.
Oh no.
We didn't know at the time. Like we all found out during like at one of our dinners. Someone like
Yeah, this keeps happening. I don't know if
yeah, it was
like
so sad. Like because iFeatures has launched like so many debut British filmmakers.
yeah,
Like honestly, their track record is really strong.
yeah.
And it's just so sad that that doesn't exist.
It feels weird for me because you're one of the filmmakers I look up to, and as were many of the other filmmakers, like because we met at Sundance London.
Hmm.
Many of the other filmmakers I met, I look up to them as well. But it does sort of feel like if I try and copy their journey, I can't because like
Yeah, yeah,
they did things that don't exist anymore.
yeah.
Like
Charlotte was on iFeatures too the year before me.
yeah. So Charlotte I know very well. So that's like the mutual friend that yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, it's really such a shame. It kind of already feels like, like if we were to talk to the filmmakers above us and it's like, yeah, well, times are different. Like you can't it already
Yeah.
like that now for us, it's like it's already changed to a degree where access is um
I did actually have a question here. Like, what do you think? Like, how do you think future filmmakers are going to like find their way, or like, how do you think they're going to be discovered?
I think I guess they've got like the Future Takes fun now, which
Oh
is
yeah, it's very
already
very competitive, but yes, that does
very
exist.
competitive, very high budget short films.
Hmm.
Um, and I guess that's maybe a way, it's like I guess it's been created as like kind of a middle ground between short and feature. Like it's
Yeah,
most for the most part, I imagine people are doing proof of concepts and like stuff for it. I don't know much about it in terms of projects. I know one of the directors, Lewis Hyman, who did Majid Zafar, the
oh
short.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah,
Um, but I don't know any others off top. But yeah, and then there's still the BFI Short Film Fund, but it's like I just think I don't know, honestly. It is something that I'm constantly talking about with my peers and just figuring out how to do it. Because in one sense, I think everything so much is now oversaturated,
hmm
which clouds, you know, the water a bit. And it's like it's kind of a two-edged sword because you want access, you want everyone to be able to give it a go, but also then it's like everyone, there's so many people, and a lot of it can then become based on like clout or like numbers or like what you think
yeah,
do, and maybe it's not the best thing for them to do. And I just think it is a really difficult time at the moment. But I do think things will even out. I think that people, audiences as well, like recognize the oversaturation. Even if they're not like film buffs or anything like that, I think the
mm,
average audience goer is kind of like, oh, there's so much shit on this, or da, 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 you know what I mean? And I think humans are innate storytellers, and at the end of the day, we do have like this need to seek out good stories. And I think hopefully it will even out, and maybe from that evening out, something will build.
yeah.
I don't
It
know, like it's really hard because I don't even know the process of like getting your if you without iFeatures, like what would I have done? I guess I would have done BFI Early Development Fund and then I would have applied for BFI like development money, like the
Mm,
next bit. And then I guess it's up to your producer really, like to get it in front of execs. I guess it's just like heavily dependent on your producer's relationships.
yeah.
And your own, obviously, if you know execs too. But like, yeah, I think it then becomes very heavily weighted on who your team are.
It's kind of interesting. I think my perception, not to be like pessimistic, but I think my perception has like evolved a lot since in the last 10 years. Because I think when I first heard of you in the Sundance, because you were a Sundance Ignite fellow, I
Yeah.
think I kind of had this assumption that like once you kind of get the golden ticket in like one area, you just like you're like they.
Oh, me too. I thought the same thing even after Surviving Earth. I'm constantly having this revelation. Like post
Mm,
Surviving Earth, it's been so hard to get distribution,
yeah,
so hard to get a review. Like, and I'm literally like, what? It's just,
yeah,
it's this, it's a really strange realization that, you spend a decade knocking down the door, you open the door, and then it's just like,
yeah,
oh, I've got to do it all again, basically. Um,
yeah.
yeah, it's really frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to bang the drum. I'm happy to
Oh yeah,
like
we must continue.
we must continue. Um, what was I gonna say? So after like iFeatures, like how did Film 4 get involved?
So, well, from iFeatures in general, you are left. So basically, how it works. So there's 12 projects on iFeatures. Um, BBC have to commit to three of them in terms of not to production, just the next stage of development, and BFI have to commit to three of them. So six out of 12 go into further development.
Hmm.
We ours went with BFI. Um, you kind of have meetings with both during the process, and
Yeah,
I can't remember exactly how it worked out, but yeah, we went with BFI, and then Film 4 came about because one of our execs, Farhana, worked for BFI at the time, and she
yeah,
moved to Film 4.
yeah. Okay.
And then she really loved Surviving Earth, and it was like one of the first handful of projects that she championed when she moved to Film 4.
Hmm.
And then the rest of the Film 4 team loved it, luckily, and so that's how that's how that collaboration came about. But if that wasn't the case, if Farhana didn't ever leave BFI, I'm assuming, yeah, someone knows someone, and so you can like get it sent across.
Yeah,
I think is how it works. Like I'm trying to like think of my journey without all of the stuff that happened, and yeah, like now I know them. They all know each other, right? So I
hmm,
think, it would be about your producers being like, oh, who would you suggest to be a co-financer? And BFI might be like, oh, you should try BBC and Film 4, and oh, maybe this person would like it, and stuff like that.
yeah,
Um, so once you're in, it is easier to have relationships with other people. It doesn't guarantee you anything, but it's easier to like get it in front of people.
yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. This is like very chaotic chat. Sorry, I'm just gonna like go. I'm gonna go like all over the
No,
shop
no,
because it's like it's
these are the best ones.
okay because it's like driven by my interest and also like the things I'm supposed to
Oh,
ask.
those are the best interviews, yeah. I
Um,
don't like watching interviews and the person's like, yeah, so cool. They just don't listen to what the person said and then they just ask like, so what's your favorite cereal or whatever.
yeah.
You're doing a
I
great
guess
job.
I won't ask what's your favorite cereal
Oh,
now.
you can also do
Yeah.
that.
Um, so talking about like, shaping the script for Surviving Earth, like it very much is like a window in time.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I wouldn't even consider it a biopic. It's like it's a drama.
Hmm.
But was there ever a sense to like maybe explore beyond the timeline you chose, and go in the past or beyond where it ends?
Yeah, so really at the beginning it was actually to do with the timeline stuff was more to do with more attached to perspective. So
Yeah.
whose point of view I was telling the story from. So that's when I was like, stuck in timeline chaos. It's like because I didn't know if it should be from the daughter's perspective or not.
Yeah, that was another question I had. It's
Yeah.
like,
So
yeah.
that's when the timeline was in question. So like I remember maybe the first ever time I wrote it, it was definitely from the daughter's perspective. Um, and I remember because I have a vivid memory of going to, I don't know if it was NA or an AA meeting at the time, but my dad brought me along. And so I had written a scene and I was probably like, I don't know, below 13 or younger. And so it was like, it started there. Um, and I never did that version, so I don't know where the timeline would have jumped to, but it was like, it was,
Yeah.
it started there anyway. And then I think I imagined it would like maybe fast forward or something. I don't know. But, and then during iFeatures was when I really had to figure out whose story it was.
Yeah.
During iFeatures, there was a draft where it was kind of jumping perspective, which I think is still something that could have happened, but I think I just was kind of really encouraged to decide whose story it was, like, to pick one person basically.
Yeah.
Um, and he's way more interesting than me because, like, from your own perspective, right? It's like I don't
Yeah.
want to write about myself, I want to write about someone else. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I don't want it to be like, I don't want to center myself in this story. Um, and so I chose him. And then the timeline became more condensed. It kind of, from when I chose him, it did always kind of exist around what you see at the moment.
Hmm.
It was probably stretched out a bit more. Um, but everyone was like the same age-ish, like it was around that time in their lives. But and then it obviously got more and more fine-tuned. But at the moment, it's like obviously it's not said or anything, but it's probably like around a few months, the film,
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
timeline of the film. Um, Whether you get that or not doesn't matter, but it's like
Yeah.
in our heads, like when we were speaking about how long in, when we're doing all the prep and you have to actually figure out the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. First ADs must be going crazy asking about timeline
yeah,
questions.
exactly. And
Yeah.
like just dates on stuff, phones and like
Oh, yeah.
time and
Is it?
production
It's
time.
technically a period piece, right? But for like
It
20,
is
20,
serious
because I
stuff.
like, but because he, like, this is the thing I really enjoyed. He uses Skype in the film.
Yeah,
And I was
yeah.
like, that's 2015. That's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
2014.
Yeah, it's
And
a period piece, which was fun as well because
yeah.
yeah, it's just period just always fun to do. And like we got
Yeah.
yeah, just like the tech that we got to use and like the laptop.
Yeah.
And all of that stuff. Because we filmed those scenes. The Skype scenes are also some of my favorite in the film. Um, and we filmed them on the laptop's webcam,
Yeah.
um, which was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of want to, again, if you don't want to answer any of these things, just say. But like I did notice, so the character is called Vlad Gajić, which is your dad's name. Yes,
Right. Yeah.
Gajić. Sorry, Gajić.
No, that's all
I
right.
was
Yeah.
so good, but I spent years in my head reading it as Gajić and feeling proud of myself that I knew how it's
You got
pronounced.
half of it.
And then I saw this film and I saw the accent for the first time on the
Yeah.
sea, and I was like, oh no, like the last 10 years, I've got to rememorize it now. But yeah, so he's called Vlad Gajić,
Mhm.
and his daughter is called Maria Gajić, which
Mhm.
is your middle name.
Yes.
So like, why is she not called Thea Gajić?
I don't know because it's just like she's not me. Like
She's not you.
she represents a daughter, right?
Yeah,
I think Maria was like a temporary name, but then when it's lived in a script for so long, it feels weird to change it.
yeah,
First wrote Maria, I just did it as a placeholder because I was like, I don't want her to be called Thea, so let me just use my middle name. And then obviously, who to anyone who's written a script, like changing a character's name like 4 years down the line is a bit like, I can't.
yeah,
It's so strange. So it just stuck. And also it still works because the reason my middle name is Maria is after my great grandparent.
Oh, right.
She still has that name in the film. So when he says, "Oh, it's my Baba Mara's," when they go and light the candle for her, Mara is like still Maria in Serbian. So it still made sense for the story, you know. Um,
Hmm.
so that's why I didn't change her name. Um, yeah, because it feels too weird to
Yeah.
not to. And then his friends' names are also the same.
Okay.
Duncan is Duncan and Mishko is Mishko. Duncan, because it's like I did consider changing their names, but it was like I don't know, they're just so attached to who they are, like their names fit them, and it
Yeah.
felt it just didn't.
It was
Right.
weird as well because like there's like an in-joke element to it. Like I love there's a bit where he's on the phone to somebody and they call him Mr. Gajic. And
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I know that's a mispronunciation, but
yeah,
he doesn't correct them in the
yeah,
film and they just
yeah,
move on. And I was like, that's so weirdly relatable, but am I the only
yeah,
one who's gonna get that? Like,
yeah,
is
yeah.
that
I do always think that, like, and I also think in like when we played it in Sarajevo, I was like, I hope they don't think like I've done that. I've like actually made that mistake. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's just kind of those ones that if you get it, you get it. But that's also a constant thing. Like he was always, obviously our names always get mispronounced. Even we were in we had to go to court after he died, and the whoever spoke
Oh
mispronounced
my
his
God.
name, yeah.
Yeah.
And one of his friends stood up and was like, "It's Gajić." And I was like, "Yeah, nice." But
Damn.
yeah, so that's the reason. Everyone else's names changed, but just the
Yeah.
main.
I feel like I've went down a bit too much of a rabbit hole in names because I've come, yeah, I'm gonna sound like an insane crime scene investigator, but I did watch like all your shorts and in voicemail, um, um, like you're on the phone. I'm pretty sure that's your voice, but she like Vivian plays a character called Thea, um, and I was
When?
like in voicemail, like so
Oh,
like
her name is Thea.
her name is Thea, and I was like, there's
Oh,
something going on. There's like a
when does
big
she when does she play when? In voicemail?
in
No.
voicemail, she says like
Oh,
someone her name is Thea.
no, Zia.
Oh, is it Zia? Okay,
Yeah,
this okay. Well, there
yeah.
you go. Like I'm clearly insane, is what we've discovered. Like there's what's the boundary
No,
of
no,
truth and
no. Her name's
fiction?
Thea. But and it's not
Okay.
me on the phone, it's her.
Oh, is it her?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, but see, it's confirmation bias because I heard Thea, and then I heard you on the phone, and then I joined the dots of like there's something going on between truth and fiction in
No, no, no,
Gajić's
no,
life. Like
no,
it's
no,
like
no. But the
no,
voicemail is based off a real event. Like I did receive a voicemail, so it's still true for the fiction, but
yeah.
not the name part.
Can I ask you about poetry?
Yeah.
Because you're a very good poet. And like, did you like you started like a lot of your films start as poems, as I understand. And like in your early films, they would end in a poetic note, or they have a poetic kind of bit in them.
Hmm.
Which I found really interesting because it's like very like matter of fact and like raw, and then you find this poignancy in it. I know "Surviving Earth" comes from a poem that you
Mm.
wrote. Was there
Yes.
ever a temptation to put it in the film?
Yeah, yeah. The definitely. I think it was in a version of the script, like at least just like a stanza from it. But it never stayed. I think it's hard. I think in shorts it's easier. Like it felt easier to add poetic elements, like in a obvious way. But I think when it was in the film, it just felt a bit on the nose.
Yeah,
I guess because the poem I wrote was about, well, the lines in which the surviving earth is taken is like about his death, and then I think, yeah, to somehow weave it into the film felt a bit too like on the nose-ish um at the time. And I was trying to find a way like who would say it and when, and there was a memorial scene that got cut, and that's kind of the only place I could see it have existed, being
yeah,
existed. If it was from the daughter's perspective, maybe it would have been easier to weave in,
yeah,
but because it wasn't, Yeah.
Interesting. I have more questions, but I have noticed the time.
I have to leave at I have to come off the call by like 10 to 3.
Okay, I'll ask like maybe like one or two more.
Okay.
Um, and now my mind just immediately went blank. Oh yeah, poetry. So uh, like I find poetry to be like a very like raw way into a story. Like it's the most like open and sincere you can be in writing. It feels to me. I mean, like I don't claim to be a poet. I have actually tried to do what you've done before in one of my own short films. And as soon as I started to write the poem, I was like, this is bad. And then like just went away from it completely. Um, but I'm intrigued to know about more about your writing process because you started with a poem, and again, it's all like well observed moments. Like, are you a journaler and things like that? And like, how do you outline your scripts?
Yeah, I am a journaler, for sure. Got lots of journals. And my writing process changes. I thought it changed, but now I'm trying to write my second. I find myself going back to how I started Surviving Earth, which was basically just straight to script. I just think I like I and now I like learned so much about writing through Surviving Earth. Like as I've been trying to do my second film, I've stopped and started so many times. I've planned things out. I've done mind maps. I've done like all the things, yeah. And it's just never ending. It's never ending. And then I'm like, I don't know if I like that anymore. But
Yeah,
as of like last week, I was like, fuck this. I'm just gonna write in the program just straight to script as I used to do and
yeah.
just start with the conversation. When I used to have a little, I mean, I only did 2 episodes on YouTube years ago, over 10 years ago. But
I saw those.
whenever I advise anyone, I'm like, just start with a conversation. And now I find myself doing exactly that again. Because I think in a conversation, you immediately have a world and two characters. And, you then attach whatever is swimming around in your head, like your ideas about whatever the project is. You then can begin to attach those ideas as you
Yeah.
write.
So this is a really interesting point because I think character driven storytelling is so hard to plan in the long format because
Mhm.
like genre you can certain things are going to happen, but I
Yeah.
think what you do inherently is so driven by the drama of character interaction. It's a bolder way of telling stories because like if you don't know your character you don't have a story, you don't know what they're saying to each other, like what is this, like yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. And I think because I never traditionally learned how to screenwrite. So I think that was just my in was character led, I guess, because of acting. If I try and find a reason why, like this is not on a conscious level, but it's like I guess that's why that was my in, because it was like that was how I related to scripts at the time. And yeah, for me it's still the most efficient way to like get my thoughts out there. I've been caught up with plot a lot when I think about a second film, and that always just blocks me instantly because I'm like, well, what is it about? What's going to happen? And I'm just constantly getting blocked by my own thinking. And
Yeah.
so that's why I've just decided to just throw it all away and just go back to how I started. And I think poetry can be a part of that. Like a lot of the time unintentionally. Like I didn't write the poem that Surviving Earth was from because I thought I'd make a film out of it. Do you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
I wrote it because I was expressing myself and then I reread something and I'm like, oh, actually, I really like that line. Like, what is that line? And like maybe it can grow into something different. Um, and I just think that's what, artists do. Like if you're making contributions, whether you ever release them or not, like you're contributing to your own flow and your own like career and you just look back on stuff and then you might find something that
Hmm.
you've already done.
Yeah, like you mentioned like Charlotte. and like Charlotte Regan and I have once had a conversation where we're both saying like we're trying to figure out ourselves from when we're most naive and when we had all the
Mm.
confidence in the world and like try and go back. I think it's a
Mhm.
Danny Boyle thing as well. He said that like he's always chasing the younger version of himself who didn't know any better.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Um,
100% I agree because I think like knowledge can be very stifling.
yeah,
Um, it
yeah,
can be so expanding, obviously, but also really stifling, especially with art, with the arts, I think. You kind of want to learn alongside, like not without it directly linking. That's my favorite way to like expand my brain. It's
hmm,
like I'm trying to write a script, but I don't know, maybe I'm learning about, I don't know, film stock or something random. Who knows? But it's like
hmm,
not that that's that random, but and then at some point in your process, you'll remember what you learned. You know what I mean? And you're like, oh yeah, now I can apply that. But I think when you're trying to write and then learn about writing in the same moment, I think that's when it can be really stifling,
yeah,
uh, because you're constantly referencing like a book you're reading, and then it's actually stopping your creative flow because you are conscious of the rules you may or may not be breaking or following or whatever.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, always trying to get back to like when me and Olan could just run and gun something and be like,
yeah.
why can't we do that anymore? But obviously,
It's really cool that because like Olan shot your first short film Run, and
mhm.
he's and so you've kind of grown together, um,
Yeah, he
which
shot all
is
of my shorts.
oh right, okay, wow.
Yeah.
I also kind of think there's a I don't want to like take up too much time, but I think there's a look to the last few that's been developed. I feel like the look of Surviving Earth is really interesting. Um,
Mm.
and it's like quite pastely and like the colors feel like the reds and the orange and the yellow feel like smudged and like if it feels to me digital with like a weird filmic vibe.
Yeah,
Um,
Olan and our DIT like developed the look in prep, um, based upon like prep from me and Olan. Like we thought a lot about what we wanted it to look like and reference points, and like we lent just way more into European cinema and like really wanted to
mm,
pull away from British.
what film specifically?
Um, Beautiful, we looked at a
Oh
lot.
yeah,
Um, yeah, we looked at Beautiful a lot, and the photos he like bought like loads of coffee table photo books, and we kind of just circled loads of them like with reflections, stuff with reflections we liked a lot, and just in general it was just more like deeper colors. I just didn't want it because it is realism. I didn't want it to be like British kitchen sink stuff, you know.
yeah, yeah.
Um Visually, like, I used to love all of that stuff. I mean, I still do lots of great films, but I didn't want it to look or feel
Yeah.
visually in that
Yeah,
style.
that's why I was like, I didn't want to call it social realism what you've done, but I wanted to call it realism. But it's
Mm,
like lifted for the grade. It's quite interesting to describe.
yeah. So
Um
we just loved, yeah, we love contrast and shadows, and like lots of long lens we were like decided on quite early. Um Also there's a show, If This Much I Know to Be True, with Mark Ruffalo.
oh yeah.
They use loads of long lenses, so that was one of our references also. And like loads of,
Okay.
there was a handful of after sun shots actually we had for references. Um, yeah, so we always had that in mind, and we pushed for that from
Yeah.
the beginning. And yeah, he developed the look in prep with the DIT, and then we had it as a lot for the whole shoot. Which was good because we got all the execs used to it. You know,
Yeah.
like usually LUTs, I think, are a lot brighter. But we kind of got them used to the colors that we were going for. There was still loads of pushback in the grade, but we we got it through. We got it through.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to ask like one last question,
Yeah.
and like I'm going to make it really broad, annoyingly. But like your future plans. So you mentioned you're writing something. Do you have a
Mhm.
sense on what's next, or is that an annoying thing to ask right now?
It's not annoying. I annoy myself with it. You
Yeah.
you asking it isn't annoying. But yeah, I was like for a long time trying to figure out voicemail as a feature.
Okay.
Um, but that film was made in such isolation with no development, and I reverse engineering it has been way more difficult than I first imagined.
Okay.
Um, and so now I'm kind of like, maybe it shouldn't be a feature. Um, but I'm just like interested, or yeah, always again character driven, and just like I guess in the last 18 months, since finishing post, just like the feeling of constraint and what that does to a person and where
Hmm.
that could lead them,
Hmm.
and what they would do to relieve themselves of constraint. Um, that's kind of where I'm at thematically.
Yeah.
Um, that's all I got really. That's all I got really, and I'm just trying to figure
Yeah.
that out. In the meantime, like I'm super down to like direct someone else's script if one,
Yeah. Or
you know.
TV or like
Yeah, to know I'm down for TV. It's just a bit all we ever hear as directors is, oh,
yeah.
TV's well, TV's they're not taking anyone new, blah blah blah. Yeah, but no, I'm down. I'm down for it all if it resonates. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
If you can't tell, I have a great admiration for Thea, and I think this film is a very bold first feature. I want to take this opportunity to thank her for sitting down and chatting to me, but also for letting me see the film early. If you've engaged in this conversation, please leave a comment to let me know. I read all the comments and I try to respond to as many as I can, so let's continue this conversation. As mentioned up top, please remember to subscribe and leave a like on the video if you're interested in seeing more big chats like this. It really helps me out. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching this, and I'll see you next time.